So starting with the shoot, I wanted to do 3 slightly different lighting setups because we decided that we're gonna do natural makeup on the model, then we'll do a little bit of color, and then we'll add even more color. So basically just going gradually from natural to kind of colorful. I started by placing the parabolics right in the center. I used a full diffusion material on it as well as the grid because I wanted the light to be a little bit more focused on the model's face. And my focusing rod was at about the normal place where I keep it. It was at 8. And for anything else in the set, as you can see, I just had my 2 black V-flats on each side to add a little bit more contrast and definition. And I also had 2 strobes bouncing into the white side of the V-flats and bringing some light onto the background. My initial idea was to have the parabolics as a key light at a stronger power and then the backlights at a lower power, just kind of lighting the background a little bit. But after testing it quite a bit, I actually noticed that I really liked how the backlights were kind of wrapping around the model's face coming from behind. And because the studio is all white, there was plenty of light was kind of just bouncing from the ground and from the ceilings as well, and the model's face was also just kind of lighting up even from that. So what I ended up doing is just more power on my back strobes, and then I reduced the parabolics, my frontal strobe power, by quite a bit. I think I had it at like the minimum power just to add a little bit of light to the model's face, but not too much because I still wanted that kind of nice contrast and feeling that the light is just kind of coming from behind almost. Now for the second look, the makeup and hairstylist, she pulled the model's hair back so that we could have a little bit more, you know, definition in her, seeing her cheekbones and jawline and stuff like that. And she added a little bit of color in the makeup as well. At that point, I just took my strobe, the one that was in the middle with the parabolics modifier, and then I moved it to the left side. So it was a very slight difference, but as soon as I started taking test shots, I realized that if I wanted to see more of that colorful makeup on the model's face, I needed a little bit more power than what I was doing in the first look. So then I raised my power on the front strobe and I reduced the power on the backlights a little bit. I kept taking test shots, seeing what I like, because it's really just about you kind of seeing the image and understanding whether you think that looks good or you're not there yet. The other thing that I decided to do was to focus my light in the parabolics modifier a little bit more. So I went from 8 to 6, which meant that the light moved a little bit closer to the back of the modifier, and that meant that the light is going to be a little bit more contrasty and a little bit more focused. And yeah, I got a few shots from this that I actually really liked as well. And again, it wasn't a huge change from the first look, but it was just a little bit of a slightly different look that I actually ended up really enjoying. Now for the third look, because makeup artists decided to use more vibrant and just more color on the model's face, I decided to introduce like a green fabric as a backdrop as well. Now, I was not sure if that's going to work, but I wanted to try it anyways because I'm personally terrified of shooting with color. It is one of those things that is really hard to pull off and to make it look good. So it was just me trying something and then seeing how it looks. And I actually, once I took a test shot, I actually realized that I don't mind that green at all. Now, when it comes to lighting, I moved my strobe back in the middle for this one. I kept the focusing rod on 6 because I still wanted that nice and contrasty and hard light. The idea for this one was actually just to increase the power on the front light even more because I kind of imagined it almost like very bright, blown out, that's that sort of theme. But when I started testing, when I had the subject in front of me, I reduced the power and I actually prefer that way more because I shot with the higher power in the beginning and then I reduced it, and so I was able to kind of compare the two. And yeah, so that's how I ended up with shooting on a little bit of a lower power than I'm used to. And yeah, I like the contrast and I like the richness in the shadows as well. So that was the third and the final look.